Hi, welcome back to the TFA podcast.
Hi, everyone.
I'm thinking of changing the name to the CFR Baby Naps and Weekend podcast.
Yeah, that's a big factor.
That's our life now. The answer is no, she's not napping.
Well, she did a bike nap today.
Yeah, we have a new stroller nap, bike naps, yeah.
Yeah, they're better than a car nap because what am I doing in the car for an hour and a half? So I got her to fall asleep in the bike wagon.
You get a bike ride.
Get a bike ride in, and yeah, that worked out pretty nice today because it wasn't pouring rain for the first time in about a week here.
Yeah, so we're over 2 weeks into, I feel like everybody's switched from calling it social distancing to it's basically quarantine, like how we're not really interacting with people on the street. We're still able to go out though, like get fresh air.
Yeah.
But when you see people, like neighbors,
you just give them
and
some
stuff,
space.
yeah, we're not like really hanging out. And I feel like people were getting a little stir crazy. Like it's starting
for sure.
to, yeah, so we're there.
The novelty, the Christmas vacation style novelty of it is worn off.
Right. At first, it's just sort of like, hey, we don't have a schedule. Pajamas all day. Do whatever you want. But now...
now it's like, hey, we don't have a schedule. I really like schedules.
Chris is the creature of habit. I wanted to... I have something kind of funny to point out. So you see, I feel like I like my hair today, okay?
I love your hair today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look at this.
We can talk about mine later.
Look at this.
Well, less. I like it less now.
You do? You don't like this volume? I feel like I look like Roxette.
Depends if you're going by human standards or lion cub.
Well, I would like to be able to part my hair on the other side, and I just can't.
And you've decided to figure that out on the podcast?
I just think it's really funny how my hair is so... Because you know this, because I've told you about this a ton. After I had babies, each baby progressively, I feel like I lost a lot of baby hair. It's a thing that happens to women. And now I have a very thin spot right here. But this is the only spot I can part my hair.
Right.
It's that. I mean, obviously, I could probably try and train my hair. I just really want... Although I do wish
I don't think that's the look you're going for. I'm going to tell you straight out. Probably leave it for the rest of the show.
Like what? Like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I wanted to tell you I'm wearing my Luminosity sweater pattern today. My Luminosity sweater.
A classic.
I really like this sweater. It's cheerful, it's colorful, and that's my thing these days.
Yeah.
As opposed to your thing.
I'm wearing this because didn't someone write in and request that it be worn?
There was a request that we talk about Chris's sweater.
Yeah, I don't go out of my way to wear knits on the podcast because I just,
Why would you? It's just a knitting podcast.
Yeah, but most days I'm out dyeing, and you don't dye in sweaters because it gets hot in the studio.
That's true.
But today I'm not. I'm on kid duty today, which means they're all watching TV while we do this.
Chris is on kid duty.
And somebody said I should wear this and talk about it.
Yeah.
And in my head, everybody had seen it, but it's not. I knit it to wear to the show in Vancouver last fall.
Yes.
Which means that I started knitting it in early July at the cottage.
You started knitting it in the summer, but but to knit an adult-sized garment in one summer it's a big and an ambitious one. I think that you joke that you're a slow knitter, but you're really not.
So to say that I started knitting it in July probably isn't accurate. I started. I downloaded a beading
He designed
app,
this sweater. Obviously, this isn't a pattern that exists.
Working out the details for the
sorry.
fonts.
I interrupted you saying that you designed it. He downloaded a beading app. Go on about that.
Yeah, it was basically just a grid where you could add black circles to it. Mm-hmm. And so I figured out the spacing for the font. Mm-hmm. So on the one side, it's got TFA just kind of tiled, repeated. And it says Tanis Fiber Arts down the other arm. And then the front is Tanis Fiber Arts and Today We Die, which is kind of a de facto joke slogan that I use in the studio. Super happy with it.
It's gorgeous. I love it.
Tanis helped me out a lot figuring out the math for sleeves because it's not really off a pattern. We just kind of went with a basic shape. We nailed the sleeve length. Got a little bit of a little bit extra room here.
Constant.
It's something that I've mentioned that before, that I'm always trying to work out the sizing for me, which is difficult.
I'm not sure why we struggle so much with that, to get the length right in the yoke. He's very particular. about
I am,
your
yeah.
yoke.
And
But
there's
yeah, I don't know. I do know what you mean though, because if you have too much like a bat wing effect under the arms, and I don't know.
Or the feeling that...
I wonder if it's because you're broad-shouldered. If there's like a ratio,
That's another thing.
keep
I'm
trying.
less inclined to raise my arms over my head in a knit sweater because I feel like it pulls the whole garment.
Well, do you know there's also this funny thing? So Julie, my friend Julie Crawford
yeah.
of Knitted Bliss, she once I was talking about something like really overthinking him about like, well, when I do this and when I do this, like if it's a kind of stretching, and she's like, yes, how many times do you really do like the YMCA when you're wearing your hand knits? I'm like,
Does not apply to me. I'm constantly lifting kids over my head or
I guess that's
awkwardly
true.
stretching.
But it's just kind of a
my
funny
own.
thing, like when you know, like you go to try on, you're in the change room trying on jeans and you're doing like squats and lunges and high kicks, and it's like, that's not how you really wear your...
It sounds awesome.
So my dad tries on jeans. He always does like a squat test. I'm like, you're not doing squats all the time. It doesn't matter how they squat.
You gotta be ready.
But, okay, so back to your sweater.
I don't know what more I'm gonna say about it. It was a big hit at the.
It was yeah, do you know why?
At the show.
It's because it's really unique. So when Chris is like my inspiration because you never think about other people knitting your projects.
I do not.
Like when Chris starts a project, he knits what he wants to knit for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel like that's a really liberating way to knit that I don't do anymore.
You don't have the luxury of it, right?
I mean, I could. I do sometimes.
If you want to field 1,000 questions, if
I'll
knit
get a
something,
lot
where's
of
the
questions.
kit? Where's the pattern?
True. So, and also I do feel like it's my job. It's not your job
It
as
is.
much to design.
It could be. I
And
could
so,
help out, but
you could help,
right.
but you choose not to, cause. But then you just get joy. Like there's I have another really good knitting friend, Laura. I post her stuff in my stories and all the time. Her handle is Undone57. She's such a good knitter.
She's amazing.
She helped us out in our booth in Vancouver as well. You would have seen her if you were there. To me, she's such an inspiration.
Yeah. Great at sewing projects too.
Great sewing projects, great knitting projects, but she's not a designer. She's not a dyer. She is a enthusiastic, super talented knitter, and she knits what she wants when she wants. And she modifies
So exactly
patterns.
the same as me.
Exactly. You and Laura. She modifies patterns. So a lot like you. You modify patterns to fit you, to fit her, to add color work. There's an R&R hoodie that me and a lot of other people have copied from her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's got great ideas. And I remember once years ago I asked her, like, you should design, you should, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, I'm just
Not
happy
worth the
knitting.
hassle.
Yeah, she just likes knitting. And I think that's fantastic. And that's what you're like with your knitting, is that you get an idea in your head. Because when he started with this, I was like, what are you going to do with this?
Right.
This is of no use to me,
Yeah.
which is I need to whoosh, I
You
need
know
to
what
get
was
that out.
really
But
funny about this
I
for
love
me
it.
was the first day of the show I wore it and people were coming up and saying, love the sweater. Saw it on Tanis's Instagram because you had posted a little thing
Yeah, I posted
before
about
we
it.
went. And then the Sunday I was like, hey, I did my due diligence. I wore it and I had a black hoodie on, and all day people were like, where's the sweater? It's just getting heckled.
Also, it was really hot.
Yeah.
It's like a worsted weight sweater.
Yeah, and I'm sitting
you're
under the
hot,
lights in the
there's people,
booth.
There's
Yeah.
lights, and he took it off. It's like, you gotta put your sweater back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really cool, and I really like that you made it your own. I was gonna say. I mean, I think that Chris also has a real talent for font work.
Oh, that's the last thing I'll say about it is I know it might look really odd and some people might not know why I made the choices I did, but I have a lot of band t-shirts from concerts and stuff, and metal bands often go for this type of look where it's, writing on the sleeves and then black and white, very graphic, and
blood. So in case you couldn't...
Well, no, it's dripping. It could be slime. It could be anything. It's not necessarily blood.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it could be much more graphic.
And yeah.
But it's a very cool font. I think it's really neat. I think that you did a really great job with it. I love that it was what you wanted, even though I didn't really understand the aesthetic initially also. Although I recognized it because I've seen Chris in some horrible band t-shirts.
She is constantly asking me not to go to the post office or grocery store in the shirts I work in.
Yeah.
Or to do anything with the kids wearing any of them.
Yeah. I'm not anti-band.
No.
Let's be clear.
No,
Some
no.
of them are grotesque.
Look, I bought them and I know. that they're not great.
Anyways, but I think it's a super cool sweater. I like what you did. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about just a jumping off point for of how you figured out your numbers and stuff. Because so Chris, we didn't design the whole, you designed all it, like you customized it, but we started with the Tin Can Knits flax pattern, right?
Which is a great...
yeah, it's a free pattern. Worsted weight.
Simple sweater pattern with quite easy to put variations in on it.
Absolutely.
You showed it to me and I was like, yeah, that's a good one to start with.
So,
We've made them for the kids. I've knit one for one of the boys.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so.
Yeah.
But it, if you're going to customize a sweater, trying to modify things, but you don't want to like design it from scratch, it's a good place to start with stitch numbers, with needle size, gauge, to just sort of get like a ballpark to know what you're working with.
Yeah.
Because also the other thing to keep in mind if you're going to do like an ambitious color work type thing like this. Oh, also we should mention that Chris so the flax pattern is knit in the round and Chris knit it flat so that he could do like a color work just in the center, like Tarja
knit,
style.
Yeah, I've knit a few in the round.
He's not scared.
And the thinking behind it was that the extra seams would actually give
Some structure.
more structure and shape to it
Yeah.
and prevent it from sagging when it was blocked.
But also this would be, you couldn't knit this part in the round because there's nothing
No,
on the back,
that's
right?
right.
So you had to knit it back and forth.
Yeah.
Like I said, in Tarja, like Chris he's no joke. And yeah, no slouch. I love it. I think it's great. But so starting with the flax pattern, so you have an idea of how many stitches are going to be per section, because then you have to know how many stitches you have to work your chart in.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go to town, make a chart that uses 150 stitches only to realize, oh, I only have 80 stitches on the front.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing.
Then have an expert knitter and pattern designer beside you who can figure out the numbers on anything you need for sleeve length and yoke depth and whatever else.
Which, sidebar, I just also wanted to mention, this is just all over the map today, but it's funny that you say that figuring out the numbers. Do you know that I hated math in school?
Yes.
And I feel like that's a really big part of being a designer. That's the biggest part, is math, being able to grade patterns. It's all math. It's all like, I want to say grade 8 level math, possibly. Maybe there's some higher math in there as well.
I had already checked out as far as math goes by grade 8.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if they had taught math with knitting patterns in mind in high school, I feel like I would have enjoyed my math a lot more.
We could campaign for that.
I might. So, Chris looks fantastic. I mean, I look fantastic. So, let's move on. The next thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, we want to talk about our big update.
Oh yeah, we did an update last Wednesday.
Yeah.
That went it went super well.
Yeah, it was exciting. So I launched my City Limits pattern. If you watched our last podcast, I was wearing it. I talked about it. There's going to be a picture of it right now.
It's free up until today. By the time you see this, it'll be no longer free. Hopefully you managed to get a copy. A lot of people did.
Yeah. There are a lot of downloads. City Limits pattern was free for a week, and we did an update with all kinds of fade sets last week. They sold out rather quickly, and so we're already working on our next update. I think it probably will be next week. I was hoping to get it up sooner than that, but we need to have enough kits. We need to make it
yeah, you got to make it worthwhile.
Worthwhile for everybody. I don't want it to be frustrating.
Even
I
still,
want to have
we
enough.
worked for days leading up to this to make sure it wouldn't run out instantly.
I would say week. Whoa, 2 weeks, couple weeks, and it takes a while.
Closer
to
to 2 weeks, and still they
go quite quickly.
They didn't last the morning.
And yeah, I think that. But I mean,
well, another factor was we that sale was that we gave a portion of the proceeds to charity, and I think that people really
showed up
for it, and it was kind of overwhelming a bit. It was amazing that you were getting notes, people saying, I stocked up on patterns, say 100% of pattern proceeds went to the charity, which was a really big boost for it. And
we donated $5,000.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So the pattern sales made a really big difference, and then we rounded up.
Sure, yeah, but
to get a nice even number like that. Obviously, it wasn't like...
It felt really good.
But yeah, it was an emotional day. It was good. I got a lot of messages from people, saying that they purposefully bought patterns, or that they'd been intending to buy something from our shop and purposefully bought them on Wednesdays so that their money would go towards that.
I feel like people got the pattern, the Free City Limits pattern, bought a fade kit for it, and then maybe bought some extra yarn as well, because there was a lot
They knew what
of
was
dyeing
going
on the side above and beyond the kits.
Yeah, and then a lot of messages from people who donated to their local food banks, because we donated to Food Banks Canada. In case
Right, so people would write and say, because of this, we're going to donate to our
so
food
it was
bank
really,
too.
really,
So,
really.
man, it created a lot of good energy.
Yes.
And huge thank you to everybody that bought and people that downloaded the patterns and are going to make make projects with them. So
There's already over 100 projects, like 130.
super
Something
cool.
like that for
Yeah.
City Limits, which is really exciting. It's a fun pattern. It's great to obviously, I would say everybody who has already knitted or starting to knit it is making it from stash, which is also one of my,
That's great too. Yeah.
like, I get so excited. I get a high from that when you can knit from stash. Yeah. It's so exciting. So yeah, just good vibes
Plus the
all
option
around.
of 2 strands with mohair, that's very hot right now.
That's right. People do love mohair.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So we're working on restocking the fades and the mohair. We're dyeing.
Oh, I can say this, we got a delivery of mohair today, which we had ordered and I didn't know if we were going
that's
to,
the
so there
next
will be
thing,
some for the next
actually,
update.
to kind of branch into is the supply chain. We're starting to feel it for sure.
Right
a lot of uncertainty. Our warehouse here in Montreal, where we store a lot of our pure wash, all of our pure wash yarns. Well, here's a little shop talk. Our pure wash, our line of yarns that we stock, just about exclusively pure wash yarns. There are custom spun, eco-friendly and organic pure wash yarns that we make. We work with a manufacturer here in Montreal, and we have to order them in huge amounts. It's not like I can just order, because we're the only people that gets them. And so for the mill to make them, it needs to be worth their while. So we order like thousands of pounds of yarn. We don't have room to store thousands of pounds of yarn because we work from home and we don't even have a full-size garage and, anyways. But our manufacturer is so cool that he lets us store yarn in his warehouse because he's local here to Montreal. And then now we don't have access to the warehouse. So because COVID, everything is shut down, temporarily, but who knows? Montreal's seen a big boost in
we got as much as we
cases.
could. We have boxes of it everywhere
currently because we got a big delivery.
They had to shut down their warehouse till mid-month, which could change to later than that as well.
For sure. So we took as much as we could while we still could, and when we run out, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna get creative.
We'll see. We'll play it by ear.
We do have some other bases. We have our Blue Label sock yarn. We have our 8-ply twists. We've got other fingering weight yarns that we can make fade kits with, or that we can just not make fade kits with. We don't have a plan because it's hard to plan. You don't know how long it's going to be.
It is.
I don't know how long our stock that we have is going to last us.
I'll tell you this: if you go to the website and see only roving, we're really down to the last of it. I think I have a box left in the garage.
We haven't dyed roving in like 5 years.
It's pretty labor intensive.
I don't think we're going to get there. I think we've got enough inventory to keep us going for quite a while. I think. I'm optimistic. So we're staying in. We're doing our part to help keep things.
Oh man, the kids miss their grandparents.
Yes.
We do as many FaceTime calls as we can, and they like that. But
it's not the same.
Micah the other day was like, "Why can't I hug Pappy?"
It was heartbreaking.
Oof, that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom is getting a lot of quilting done though. She's made like 6 quilts.
Yeah, she's barricaded in the basement.
Yeah, but they're being good. They're taking it seriously. Yeah. Everything's going well. It's just it's trying time.
Let's do a quilt to blanket segue, and you can
Quilt,
show what you have down there.
Fabric blanket to knit blanket. I want to talk about knit blankets. So I'm going to show you this. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I've been working on this. This is. I'm going to lift it slowly.
Sure.
And then down. Look at that. You can get an idea for scale. It's pretty big. Like, look, Chris and I are both cozied up.
It's been just hanging out on the sofa, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
Stella was near it today, and it was catching some sunlight, and it's, like, really beautiful.
I'm really excited about it. So this is the thing. This is the polygon blank, and it's, like, below. I should hold it.
Who dyed this yarn?
What did you put in this yarn?
It's TFA.
I just feel like if we're talking about it and it's down here, we need to...
I'm not holding it up the whole time,
okay.
so...
Okay. It's the Polygon Blanket by Tin Can Knits. And...
You talk, I'll hold up my end, okay? No?
Sure. And I started knitting this. We've done in the Tanis Fiber Arts Ravelry group a summer blanket KAL many summers in a row. And the summer of 2018, this was my summer blanket KAL project. And I started knitting all these polygons. I knitted, I have no idea how many there are. You could count if you wanted.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Like 100 or 50 or 200, I don't know. And I knit, every single one is a different color. I knit them all. They're so addictive. They're so fun to knit. It's such a great project. I was loving it. I used a real mishmash. I didn't repeat a single colorway. I used DK weight yarn. I used worsted weight yarn. And then I used fingering weight yarn held double. There's even a spot where I used lace weight yarn held triple. This one. This one is a lace weight held triple.
I would have found it.
And the fact that the worsted weight and the DK, like that it's all different weights, I was nervous about it for a little bit. But I'm no longer nervous about it. It's fantastic.
Oh, geez.
Uh-oh.
A security breach. I think Willow's trying to get in.
Let me get her. Look, she's wearing a little Camaro. This one's too big for her. But she's going to grow into it and she's wearing it today anyways. And you got your cozy, you got your blanket.
Adorable.
So I used all different weights. It's fantastic. And then,
Wow!
so I used all different weights of yarn and that worked out really well. It's totally fine. But then I seamed it all together one weekend and then totally stalled. I haven't knit on it since 2018. And it's just been sitting in a basket beside the sofa, not complete. And I know why. Because I was worried that it wasn't going to work out. I was worried that my seams weren't right. I was worried that I used too many colors and I was just going to look crazy. And so instead of like seeing it through and confirming my fears, which by the way didn't happen,
No.
I just like stalled it. I was just like, if I don't finish it, then we'll never know that it didn't work out.
We blocked it out 2 nights ago, and then 10 sewed in the ends yesterday, which was a
blocking made a full
day.
day. That's all I did was weave in ends on the back of this blanket.
It looks awesome now.
It looks great now, yeah, for sure. And it was that too. I thought it was just going to be so sloppy and messy, but it's really not that bad. I think it looks fine. I crocheted them together on the back side. And do you want to kind of hold that up to show the back, just like what the crochet looks like? I was worried that that wasn't the best method, and so there was just so many questions, and that is what had me stalled. And I was considering redoing the seams, taking it apart and redoing them because I wasn't thrilled. I don't think I chose the best method, and I put it up on Instagram saying that I was considering doing that. And I got a lot of feedback from people being like, if you're a perfectionist, if it's going to bother you, redo it for sure. If it's not going to bother you, don't bother. I am not a perfectionist. It will not bother me. I think it's fantastic, and I decided to leave it. And I wanted to share this message that I got because I think that it's just like such good advice. Somebody writes, don't redo it. It's a reflection of time, whether it was skill or being rushed or whatever. It's part of the character of the blanket, and I vote that it stays. Isn't that beautiful?
That is really nice, yeah.
And you know what? I also feel like it's a reflection of the time that I did it, and I know what weekend I seamed that.
No way.
Yeah, it was the very first, you were at Rob Clark's bachelor party.
Oh, wow.
So it was, you were gone all day and night. You want to hold this one? You were gone all day and night, and it was then, Willow was about 6 months old, Micah would have just turned 3, Rowan would have just turned 5. And I was sick. I remember I got sick that evening.
I do remember it, yeah.
I had a fever. I
Probably
was like
from knitting too long.
delirious from too much seaming. I remember the day really clearly, and it wasn't a bad day. It was just a time and place of being overwhelmed with children. And
you were really sick that day.
Yeah, I got like, I don't know what I had.
Yeah.
I was
a bad
like,
fever. Didn't
I
you?
got a fever. Who gets a fever? I
In the
had
middle
like,
of the summer.
like cold sweats. It was very bizarre. Which just seems weird to then look back on it fondly in my seams. But it was like, it was also a day where I was, I don't know, I remember what it, being alone.
It's getting
kids
very
and...
blankety in here. What's this next one?
Well, this next one I wanted to show because I just love blankets. So this is the very first blanket I ever knit. This is the last blanket I've knit, and it's still missing a border. I'm going to pick up 1,000,000 stitches.
Is it? You could leave it.
No, I'm giving it a border, and then I'm going to give it a real final block because I didn't really properly block it.
But not a perfectionist.
I just love blocking. I just love it.
How do you feel about borders?
Like medium.
Medium
I like
medium to not great?
I like having a border. I don't like picking up and knitting 2,000 stitches around a blanket.
Right.
What are you doing? What are you eating? Hand. This is the first blanket I ever made. It's the Lizard Ridge Afghan by Laura Ayler. You may the Lizard Ridge. Yeah.
We were speaking about this last night.
And I said,
I absentmindedly was like, yeah, of course. And she was like, you know what I'm talking about?
Because I just casually mentioned the Lizard Ridge, and he was like, yeah. Oh, you like this one now?
Like this one.
So it's all curry on yarn, and this again, it reminds me of a place and time, and I think that that's like, I just love that like everything that I've knit, I can remember. We were in our very first apartment. First apartment, which would be like 2006. I made this blanket. It was my first time doing mattress stitch when I seamed them all together, and I thought that that was magic. All of my short rows are done incorrectly because I didn't know. I didn't pick up the wraps with the stitch that they wrapped. But you can't tell. It looks just like a feature. It's super cool. I got all the curry on yarn and all different colors. It was such a fun project, and it has no border. There's no edging.
This one predates Stella. Like, we've hung out on the sofa.
We've had Stella for 13 years.
Yeah. And now this blanket's a part of our life.
Oh, she wants out. She wants out. And you know what? I think I'm going to put a border on it.
See, I didn't notice that it needed one.
There's no border. I did the whole thing, and I never put the border, and so I may... It depends how much I'm going to do polygon border first, and if I have any gas left in the tank, I'm going to do this border.
I'll do it. Shouldn't take too long.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about blankets? They're all knit in pieces. Not every blanket. The ones that I tend to like to knit are very colorful. They're knit in pieces, so each little piece is a totally achievable little accomplishment. And I do like to do them over a long term.
That's one thing I've noticed, especially with the baby blankets with like maybe like octagon or hexagon pieces. There'll be rainbow stacks on your side of the sofa.
Yeah,
for weeks at a time.
I just love it.
Super good.
So, and this blanket, and then I've knit a couple other blankets where I purposefully don't just plow through it. It's like every once in a while you knit a square, then you put it aside, and it's a project that you can work on for like a year at a time. And then when you've got enough squares, you sew them together, and then you've got a finished blanket, and it's like you can really milk it. Milk a good project, get some simple color in when you need to.
We're never really waiting on another blanket here. There's enough.
But I just think that blankets are really fun, and they're really beautiful. And this is my favorite, if anybody's curious. This square right here is my favorite color of curry on yarn. Noro curry on. It was all the rage in 2006 when I knit this blanket.
Still holds up. It's very beautiful yarn.
Yeah, so there's that. Oh, and you want to know what color I might knit my polygon border in? You would think maybe black or white or something to anchor it. I think I might do it in like a crazy speckle. This was oops, I feel like it's super dark. This is a one-of-a-kind speckled colorway. It was a batch of something that didn't turn out quite right because it's got all this this like turquoise patch that wasn't supposed to be there. And I think it would be fun to add like a speckled border. Like it's wild.
I think you could. Yeah, you could pull it off for sure.
Thanks. So I'm leaning towards that, but I don't know. So that's it.
That's it. Anything else to talk about?
So when do we think our next update's going to be? I think
because of the conditions we're living under now,
Yeah.
I will have plenty of time to get some yarn ready for next Wednesday.
I think next Wednesday we'll have quite a bit of yarn ready to ship. And so I like to do the updates ready to ship.
Yeah. So yeah, if you ordered last Wednesday, good chance it's in the mail. We're ripping through that.
Yeah, that's all getting done. That's all going out. And sometimes I get requests from people, why don't you just do a pre-order when you sell out so quickly? And so I wanted to address that really quickly. A pre-order we wouldn't be able to sell any more than we do with a ready to ship.
No.
Because I wouldn't do a pre-order for something that would then take us 2 months to fulfill. I just don't think that that's fun for anybody. So I think that I would have to put a limit on the amount of pre-orders that we can accept. And so I prefer to just put a limit on the amount of yarn. Like the limit is the amount of yarn that we've managed to get done, which is about the same amount as we would be able to accept in pre-orders. And this way, the yarn's ready to ship. It goes out as soon as you've paid for it, rather than you pay for your yarn and then you're waiting for months for your yarn to be delivered.
That's it. It works out to the same
It
phenomenon.
works out to be essentially the same thing.
The variable being the wait time.
Yeah.
So we just do it the way we do it, and
I think it works pretty well.
we also there's always a handful of requests for different times, but we do them at the times we pick because obviously we have factors here too that come into play. No one's got the mental capacity to do it late at night.
No, if we do them at night, there's a lot of customer service required in doing updates, a lot of emails, a lot of questions to answer.
I can say
Cancellations.
for Tanis that it's like a full day's work following the sale of answering,
Yes.
keeping up with requests. People bought the wrong thing. People just have tons of questions.
Yeah, like,
And
or you're
it's
not sure how many.
It's a full
yeah.
day's work online after the sale itself. So we can't do them at night and then, have to, because you don't want to have a question pertaining to your order that's only answered a day later. So we do them when we do them because we have to do them in our business hours too, and we try to accommodate people. But
I may try for the next update. Normally we do them at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I think I'll try to do it at noon Eastern time to give people on the West Coast or different time zones maybe a little bit
Yeah.
of a break
Yeah.
or a better chance. So they don't have to, because some people are setting their alarm clock for 6 a.m. to get up and buy a fade kit. And I'm like, appreciate the commitment and I'm sorry you have to do that. So I'll try it a little bit later. If it doesn't work, I don't think that'll make that big of a difference. I think it'll be okay.
over here, the coffee's already made by 6 because we have 3 human alarm clocks.
That's right.
I need the
You need snow pants? We've already had that fight today.
So, thank you very much for watching. Go knit a blanket. Oh, so we're running 2 KALs over in our group, by the way. I'm knitting this as part of my Color Riot KAL.
Cool.
One is the one KAL is for city limits, and then the other one is just the sister KAL, which is just for any colorful, cheerful, fun project that you happen to be working on. Come on over. Come on over to the Ravelry group. Show us your project. Chat about it. Maybe win a fun prize. It'll be great.
Thank you guys.
Take care.